This is everything you need to know about the Ken Burns effect, which is the quickest way of adding movement to still images so they look like video clips. You can also use the Ken Burns effect on video clips so that you can zoom into important parts of the clip. In this video, I'll show you a virtually unknown way to use the Ken Burns effect to move to several different places in the photo, and that's all without using keyframes. At the end of the tutorial, I'll give you some more tips on how to control Ken Burns. If you've got other topics that you'd like covered in a tutorial, let me know in the comments. And I'm Bruce McBride, and I can provide online tuition. Just click the link trainingfinalcutpro.com. Now let's get right into it. Select a clip in the timeline, and we'll use the F16 image. Right-click in the viewer and select Crop, then Ken Burns. The green and the red outlines represent the beginning and the end of the movement. But behind the scenes, each frame of video is adjusted automatically to give that smooth motion effect. So to simplify things, think of Ken Burns as two bookends that begin and end the motion effect. You select the beginning and the end point, and Ken Burns effect fills in all the frames in between automatically. And it's all done without having to keyframe. Click the eye above for a tutorial on keyframes if you'd like to follow with that. Now let's create a Ken Burns effect. The green outline represents what will be seen at the beginning of the clip, and it will move to show what is in the red outline at the end of the clip. You don't have any direct control on how long the effect runs. It's there for the full length of the selected clip in the timeline. That's from edit point to edit point. In other words, the speed the camera moves from the start to the end is going to be based on the length of the timeline clip. If you find the movement too fast, you can extend the length of the clip to slow it down or shorten it to speed it up. And let me warn you, beginners tend to make the mistake of having too big a difference between the red and the green, so a little bit goes a long way, and it'll look much smoother and more realistic where there is not too much change in size. You can switch between the green and the red outlines by pressing this left button, and you can preview the effect by pressing the play button. But even though it's an automatic effect, you do have some control. First, you can disable the Ken Burns by selecting Crop or Trim, and you can also subtly control the snappiness of the start and the end. Make sure the clip is selected in the timeline. Right-click on the beginning or the end point. You've got several choices: ease in and out, just ease in, and just ease out, as well as linear. If I show you linear first, you'll get a better feel for the others. The image snaps into view, plays through smoothly, and then snaps out of view. The ease out control softens the beginning so that it does not snap in as distinctly. It actually starts slowly from the beginning and then moves quickly towards the end. Equally, the ease in does the same at the end of the clip. It starts quickly from the beginning and then moves slowly towards the end. And finally, the ease in and ease out affects both the softness at both ends. And I must say, these effects are fairly subtle, and they can barely be noticed. There is, however, a simple way of improving the softness by using a freeze frame at the beginning and end. Select the image, set the Ken Burns green and red outlines, right-click on either the beginning or the end points, select ease in and ease out. Move the playhead to the beginning of the clip. Select Option plus F to set a freeze frame. Shorten the freeze frame to just a few frames. Move the playhead to the last frame and press the left arrow. That's to move one frame back. Press Option plus F again. Then shorten this new frame to a similar length as the beginning freeze frame. Play through it. Doesn't that look a lot smoother? Now for a really cool way to animate an image and move more than one position within a clip. And to explain this, I'm going to use a still image, but it will work with video as well. The still has 3 people in it. I'm going to zoom into each of their faces using the Ken Burns effect. I've dragged the still image into the timeline and bladed it to produce 3 separate clips. If you hold the B key while you cut, When you release the B, the tool will return to the A tool selection. Now add a Ken Burns effect to the first portion. Start wide with the green outline and end the red at the first face you want to feature. Copy, that's Command C, the first portion. Now select the second portion and in the Edit menu select Paste Attributes, that's Shift plus Command plus V. Unselect anything that's ticked except Crop. Select the second portion and click to switch the red outline with the green. This means that this portion of the clip will start at the exact position that the first clip ended. You can now change the red end to zoom into the next face that you want to feature. Now copy the second portion to do the same thing as before. Paste attributes into the third portion. Select that third portion, switch, and then end the red on the third face. You could have a fourth portion to return the original to the wide shot. Select the third portion, Option drag to create a new copy, switch and set the red outline to wide. You can cut as many portions of the original clip to zoom into as many different parts of the original clip as you wish. Just remember to copy and paste the attributes from the previous portion each time. And you can do the same thing with a video clip. Just cut it into as many portions as you want to zoom into. You can just follow me as I zoom into this clip on the fly.
So we're going to cut it in 3 places. And we'll select Ken Burns on the first one. So we'll start wide and we'll bring the end to the siding. Copy the Ken Burns on. Then we'll move to the second clip, select crop. And now we'll switch. We'll start here and move to the faces, copy that and paste it into this position using crop. And now we'll switch and zoom into the faces. Select done. And now when we play this, moves into siding, moves up to the faces, and then zooms into the faces.
Finally, I'd like to explore what happens when you try to add the Ken Burns effect to multiple still images. I've got several still images in the timeline, and most of these images have got black bars or borders, so let's fix that first. Select all the stills, scroll to the bottom of your inspector, and under Spate or Conform, select Fill on the right side. You may need to reposition some of the images by selecting Transform in the viewer and dragging into view. And I'll put a Ken Burns effect on the first still. Then copy that, Command C, and paste the attributes from the Edit menu on all the other stills. Let's play that. All the clips now have the motion on them. Maybe a bit boring though, since they're all moving in the same direction. However, let's mix that up a bit. Select all the stills except the first. I'll reverse the previous Ken Burns by going to the inspector and under Crop, click on the curly arrow to the right, which removes the Ken Burns effect from only the selected clips. Now, select the first still that's currently got the Ken Burns effect on it. Copy, that's Command C. Select the third still and then every second one with the Command key down. And then from the Edit menu, paste attributes, that's Shift plus Command plus V. And make sure Crop is only ticked. Now select the second clip and paste attributes again. Tick only Crop. Make sure the second still is selected in the timeline. Switch the green and the red in the Ken Burns effect. Select the fourth and then every second still with the Command key down. And then from the Edit menu, paste attributes and tick only Crop. Let's play that through. The direction of the Ken Burns effect now alternates with each still. And that's everything you need to know about the Ken Burns effect. Let me know in the comments below if you've got areas that you struggle with in Final Cut. I'd be happy to do a tutorial to cover those issues. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and press the bell.